Do you know what zeitgeist is? It's kind of like when a wind, an energy type wind, comes through and it carries everybody along with it for an idea or some way of thinking, and it may have seemingly come out of nowhere. I can't quite say what's happened with Paula Deen qualifies as a zeitgeist, because there's always been this off and on very strong feeling about possibility of people being racist and about the words that they're using. In the case of her, because of what she did, what she used in terms of a word that she used when she was on the stand. Her brother was being sued for harassment in a restaurant that he runs by a lady, a white lady as it turned out. And she was offended by a lot of what he did, and she got fired. And whether that was because she had been giving him a bad time, or whether there was some other reason why she was fired, I don't, it's hard to say. But at any rate, in the lawsuit that she brought, and the testimony that Deen brought out, and then the other things that came out about Deen, things she had said, she found her total career ruined. She's lost her cooking show, her books, I guess she had deals to have pans in a lot of stores. Those are gone. That's gone. And basically, she has had her career just completely smashed by this zeitgeist of using this word that is unacceptable to use but not for everybody, is it? Because in black music, it's still being used, the N-word, and it's still being used in black comedians use this word. Black people may use it going back and forth with each other, jokingly, or when they're mad at each other even. But if I use it, it changes it all. And she using it, especially being a lady from the South, who had a history where her family had had a plantation, it was just the last straw. And she was totally basically destroyed. Now, whether she can come back from that, I don't know. It's hard to say. I was not one of those people that watched Paula Deen. I don't watch any cooking shows, but I didn't get her cookbook or anything like that. So I really didn't know a whole lot about her, other than she got diabetes a while back, and I guess she was going to do a cookbook changing her cooking methods to be healthier. Except, of course, now that's gone. She's lost that too. The issue here really for me, though, is this question of standards. If we are someone who's using these words and we are from that race, and it's okay, but if somebody from some other race uses them and it's not okay, what's going on? What is this all about? And what is this about us taking people that we have made successful and wanting to basically destroy them? And sometimes for reasons that are really questionable. In this case, the N-word's not good, but she used it 20 years ago, if she's to be believed. And to say that in the South 20 years ago, I grew up with a father who used this word. He was a rough man. He'd been a carny bum when he was younger. And as I was growing up, he was a man who worked with his muscle, and he worked with rough men. And they don't talk like, your Sunday school teachers. Even if they talk that way on Sunday, they don't talk like that when they're working with each other. So the language and everything that he used, I heard a lot of words growing up that I didn't like, and I didn't choose to use them myself. That word did not catch with me. In fact, because I found it offensive to hear him use it, I've never used it, ever. It's never come a word that's ever been in my vocabulary. In fact, of the things that I was going to talk about today, which are several words that are issues that I'm thinking of in this context of her, I haven't used any of them because I don't need to. They're not in my vocabulary, and that's what the real issue is. The issue is, if it is in her vocabulary, which it didn't sound like it was if she's only used it 20 years ago, but if it was, what does that say about who she is? But then what does it say about the black guys that can use that word in their vocabulary? It wasn't just that this week, because we had something that happened with Alec Baldwin, who used a derogatory term for a gay man. And that steamed a lot of people. And they're saying, well, why isn't he losing his job, his show, his whatever else he's got going, his production deals? And maybe he will. It's hard to say. He's apologizing all over the place too, just as Paula Deen did. But sometimes once you get something like this going, this zeitgeist of crucifying people for what they've done, there isn't any going back from it, and there just has to be more and more and more people pay the price that is being called. The thing that's ironic, though, is it's something like the word that Alec Baldwin used. I've heard it in movies where two gay guys will use that word, and they use it, and it's just fine. And I've heard lesbian women, they use a phrase, they use a word that, to me would be like, I couldn't use that word to describe a lesbian. It just would be wrong. But it isn't to them. Now, would it be wrong if I used it? I don't know. I don't know what they would think because it isn't a word in my vocabulary. I'm not going to use it. But I do think that there's a little bit of something going on, and some of it's a double standard, but some of it's something else. Every time something like this happens, a big story about something that, racism is a big story. But on the other hand, was that what this really was with Paula Deen? Was it? But when you hear something like this going on, the first thing I wonder is what else is happening somewhere that they don't want you paying attention to. And the other thing is, why do we need sacrificial lambs? What is going on with our country that we like to take these people, build them up, and then destroy them? What is that about?